Hi, this is Gina Versa. I'm here with Paul Eiding, voice actor of many great characters. Roy Campbell. Uh, you're in Incredibles 2, Fallout 4, and we're at the Ontario Comic-Con Revolution. How are you doing today, Paul?
All is well. I'm a happy guy.
And Paul, how has it been today? Have you interacted with any of your interacting with fans of the character?
It's been great. It's
Yeah.
been great. We're getting a lot of Transformers fans, but also a lot of Metal Gear fans. The nice thing about doing these cons, even when I'm brought in for one particular, like this one, I was brought in mainly for Transformers. I've got fans of a lot of gamers come, and I like spending a lot of time talking games.
Okay.
Or the Incredibles. It's been great.
Okay. And just going into it, can I talk to you a little bit about your character, Roy Campbell, in Metal Gear? Because that's certainly one of my favorite characters in the franchise. He really grounds Snake. How is it? How do you the character? How do you go about just interpreting him? He's kind of this just so no nonsense. How do you?
Well, I was in the military.
Okay.
I was not a colonel. I was only a sergeant. But when you're in the military, those who are in control, who you want to have lead you, they have to be grounded. You have to feel confidence in them. And the one thing about Roy Campbell is he's one of those guys that instills confidence. He wants Snake even says, it's like he'll do things for Campbell that he would not normally have done.
Yeah.
Plus, he's like a father figure, a stern father figure, but he knows the job that has to get done, and it does. It gets done.
Did you base it on any of your superior officers, by any chance?
No.
Okay.
No. Basically, when I had the audition for it, I was just shown a picture, and I was shown some of the dialogue and who he was, given his history, being a 6 foot, I think they say 6'2" or 6'3". I'm not, but I can make my voice sound that I'm that tall and that powerful. So it basically was looking at the picture. I did get a chance to hear a little bit of the Japanese version of him. And I heard the gravel that was in his voice.
Right.
So I decided to put some of that in there.
And just on that note, how much of when you're working with Metal Gear, the plots are famously a little is it very complicated at times?
Yeah.
Do they tell you anything about just how much do they go into in depth of the story?
No, it's when we did the first one, Metal Gear, the first time, we basically read through it a couple of times.
Yeah.
Not the whole thing, because it would take too long.
Yeah.
We read through a scene or two. Kojima wasn't there.
Okay.
The director, Chris Salter, Chris Zimmerman Salter, she was Zimmerman then. Chris Zimmerman Salter knew the game, and she gave us as much as she knew.
Okay.
But basically, it was on us. It was on us to try and figure things out as we were reading. And luckily, I was there in the room with David Hayter at the time, who played Snake. It doesn't happen often with video games that you actually work with the other actors, because nowadays you go in, you're by yourself, the other actors come in by themselves. But this one, we got a chance to work, we got a chance to talk and develop a relationship. And I think that's another reason why Metal Gear worked the way it did, because there really was a relationship between Snake and Campbell and the other characters.
And they're such memorable characters, and you and the other voice actors bring them to life in the games. Really give it such personality.
I appreciate that, but I always say it always begins with the word. And Kojima's brilliant.
Yeah.
His words, you say his words, and all of a sudden you sound kind of smart.
Yeah.
He's a brilliant man.
Yeah. Did you guys interact with him?
I only met him in person on 2.
Okay.
He was in studio when we were recording that one, and I think he wanted to be there because so much it was so weird.
Yeah.
There's some things that were going on that they didn't even tell us what was going on.
Uh-huh.
I remember the last day of shooting, they gave me a sheet that had all these nonsensical things on it that I didn't understand. All of a sudden, Campbell is talking about owing a lot of money, and then there's this one section he talks about going home last Thursday and there was an orange light in the sky and talks about all this weird stuff, and that's where he says to you, I hear it's amazing when the famous purple stuffed worm in Flapjaw space with a tuning fork does a raw blink on Harry Carey rock. I need scissors, 61. All of that's in there. But that was the last day. And I said to Chris, Chris, what does all this stuff mean? And she said, don't worry about it. It'll come clear later. They didn't even tell me that he was an AI. And so it was like, okay, we just delivered the lines the way you thought they were supposed to be, and have a little quirkiness here and there. And that's what they ended up with.
Gotcha. Yeah.
That's Kojima.
Yeah. And just changing gears here, you said that you were here for Transformers. How's it like being a part of that franchise?
I feel very, very lucky. To do something in 1985, 1986, and to have it still be cared about. What more can an actor ask for?
Of course.
You want to do something that's going to make people feel something, whether they like it or hate it or whatever, and to see the passion that people still have for the Transformers. I'm really lucky. All of us are. All the Transformer voice actors. Extremely lucky people.
Yeah, it's incredible. And just wrapping up here, you were telling us for Free Comic Book Day you had a comic out that you worked on. Can you tell us a little bit about it?
You bet. Perceptor is a character I did in Transformers, Metal Gear, Colonel Campbell, all these other things that I do voice-wise. But I also get to co-write with Richard Fairgray, who created this comic of Blasto Source. Blasto Source, happened to have a poster here, is a 6-foot-tall mutant triceratops who hangs out with a couple of 12-year-old kids. And what they do is they fight nasty robots. They'll fight creatures from other dimensions. They live in a town called Freakout City, where anything is possible. That's why it's called Freakout City. But it's great fun. The wonderful reviews we've had have been that the humor is that of early Simpsons.
Okay.
It's just fun and silly. It's an all-ages comic.
Yeah.
And on Free Comic Book Day, they gave out 52,000.
Wow.
And for a new comic, for an independent independent title like this, to be picked number 1 for Free Comic Book Day is really huge.
Yeah, it's an honor.
So we're very lucky.
Yeah, and it's encouraging younger kids to read comics.
Name of the game.
Yeah, I really appreciate it.
Name of the game.
Yeah. And Paul, where can people find you at in social media?
I am on Twitter at the number 4 Paul Eiding, because someone already took Paul Eiding. So it's 4 Paul Eiding on Twitter. Instagram, it's just my name, Paul Eiding. And on Facebook, it's Paul Eiding. I also have a Facebook fan page, the official Paul Eiding fan page that a fan put up for me.
Cool.
So I'm everywhere.
Awesome, and we'll put links to all the sites
Cool.
below.
There's also links for Blasto Source.
Right.
Cool.
Cool. Thanks, Paul, for joining us today. I really appreciate it.
A pleasure, my friend. Be well.